I felt numb to start with, and then devastated, completely devastated. I could not believe that such a stupid result had happened. Firstly, I couldn't believe such a stupid vote had been called, but real disbelief and being devastated. Yes, I couldn't believe when I left the house and walked up the high street because I was going to the library. There were groups of people standing on the pavement outside Lidl, outside the cinema, and as I passed them, everybody was talking about Brexit, the vote, and everybody was really upset, and people were standing around crying. And I felt close to tears myself. I walked into the library, and the member of staff who dealt with me, she was crying openly. She said, "What kind of madness is this? What do people think they are going back to? What version of the British Empire do they think they are going back to by having voted like this?" I feel so upset. That's two words. But I feel so upset that this could have happened, that this situation, people have walked into this situation without realizing what the repercussions were, and I think that the politicians are playing a very stupid end game. I think nobody wants to take responsibility and say, look, we misinformed the public, let's do this again, let's give people another chance. I mean, that's what the Irish government did, and I can't believe that an old democracy like Britain would have made such a foolish mistake, and I'm still hoping that the House of Lords saves us. On a practical level, not yet, but it's all coming down the line because I'm an artist and I work in a lot of sort of cross-cultural situations, and one of the great joys of being part of the European Union was that as European artists we could connect with each other much more easily than we could have done in the past. And I can see, even just from the point of view of applying for funding, getting projects off the ground, we are now being cut off. And so, yes, little Britain is going to be cut adrift. I completely did not foresee this result. I couldn't believe that people had, from my point of view, had voted to cut their noses off to spite their face. When people from small villages in Wales were being interviewed on the television and saying, they were so pleased to be independent and to be, contributing to making Britain great again. And one of these people was asked by the interviewer, where do you think the money is going to come from? Because you've been in receipt of a very, very large grant from the European Union. And the guy said, oh, it's going to come from central government. And the interviewer had to hide a snigger. And I just thought, listening to this, I can't believe that such a level of idiocy has prevailed. Well, I guess I do in some ways, because when I arrived in London in 1985, I remember being met with a wall of antipathy because people would hear me speak and know that I was Irish. And in those days, it was a little bit like being a Muslim now. Nobody was very keen on the Irish because of the political situation. And then over time, things got a great deal better. Once the situation in Northern Ireland had calmed down, even though I'm not from Northern Ireland. And so I did begin to feel more at home. And now I see, even though in our local area that has not been the case, there has been no negative reaction in our local area, I'm aware of the difference between London and the rest of the country. And I feel like I'm in a sort of island of people who can see the disasters that can come. And I'm not talking just about economic disasters, I'm talking about the disaster of lack of connectivity, the disaster of being an outsider, the disaster of being no longer part of Europe when we've got Putin on the eastern borders and destabilization going on in Eastern Europe. So Yes, I feel the sort of the historic reverberations are very, very worrying. So it has made me feel a bit different about being part of the UK, not about being part of London. That continues to be a diverse and positive experience. Well, I think anybody who pays any attention to what happens in Ireland will feel very worried about what lies ahead. I think if Brexit goes ahead, there is every chance that the situation in Northern Ireland will flare up again, because it's relatively recently that the communities have been able to sort of put hundreds of years of history behind them because of being part of a wider European framework that was made possible by being part of Europe. And I do see all those old divisions will rise again, and I think it's a tragedy that is looming. Yes, I have thought of leaving the country. Obviously, it's complicated by the fact that I've got family connections here, but I've also got family in France, I've got family in Ireland, I'm a European. I'm not quite sure what lies ahead because I'm an artist, and as yet my career has not come to full fruition, even though I remain cautiously optimistic. But were that to be the case, I would definitely consider leaving, yes. Yes, I would really like to say to our politicians, grow up, show some leadership, do what is right for the country, for the people, and not just to remain leader of your party.